All right, thank y'all for being here. I want to at the front of it, I want to talk about our injuries. Aubrey is all tests were negative, and he is for what that was. He's in good spirits, and he's gonna be okay. And that was scary, but best possible results have all his tests were negative, and so we expect him. He'll go through protocol and then be on his way. Trey had successful surgery yesterday. He's going to miss the year, obviously, but he's expected to make a full recovery. And I want to praise our medical team, our trainers, our docs. Thought they did a tremendous job. And then I want to huge thank you to TCU, their medical staff, their training staff. They're extremely helpful. Their trauma team and their docs, they handled the surgery yesterday, and so Aubrey and Trey, we're gonna fly them back tomorrow, and so looking forward to getting them back. And but I wanted to hit that at the front. I'll be honest, I'm here against my will today. I was planning on having a day off, so Monty got me today. I won't hold y'all responsible for that. So really good road win for us versus a quality TCU team, and I think that'll show as they progress through the year. Really proud of our staff and players. We were able to win despite not playing really well. We didn't play played at a high level on special teams, which I'll talk about here in a second. Defensively, did some good things in the second half. Offensively, played better in the second half. But overall, we're capable of playing much, much better than what we played on Saturday. We have 4 objectives, and I think you've heard me talk about it: discipline, strain, tough, and smart. That's how we want to be described. And I think 2 of them, we're setting a really high standard, and we strain, play extremely hard, and we're a tough team, mentally and physically. We're able to overcome adversity. We've proven that in multiple games. We started slow, and we've been able to overcome that and kind of during this winning streak. And also, that was really tough on Saturday night, from a mental standpoint of seeing not 1 but 2 of your teammates go down, and it doesn't look good. And so, we're doing those 2 things. We're straining, and we're a really tough team. But on the other 2, we didn't hold our standards. Our discipline was not very good on Saturday, and then we did some things that just were not very smart. And so felt like that we won the game because we strained and we were tough, and our competitive spirit was really, really high. But we've got to make huge strides in being more disciplined and then just being a smarter team. Game recap. Start with special teams. I really feel like we won the game because of special teams. I think the positives, obviously, we had 2 blocked field goals, and that's a unit. Our field goal block unit has really done well all year. And y'all have heard me say this a couple weeks in a row is, man, we're really close to blocking 1. Well, we went and got 2, which was huge. I thought our field goal, Michael Hayes, he, first of all, the one before half, he drilled. That was a big kick. And then the one in the fourth quarter. And part of the reason, I don't know if you could tell this on TV, the wind was kind of swirling in there. And it was he had the wind with both those kicks that he made. And their kicker was against the wind both times. And that was some of the thought process of taking the ball because we knew we'd be able to pick the wind direction in the fourth quarter. And so I thought our kickoff cover team did a great job. That was probably our biggest challenge on this week. We had Texas Tech, and they've proven they're pretty good. They hit a return versus Houston as well, but Dre McCray hit one. But we didn't play very well on kickoff coverage teams versus Texas Tech, and so we challenged our guys. And then Hayes came out and had a tremendous day with kickoff locations and hang time, which is the number 1 factor on good kickoff coverage. And then our guys they defeated blocks. And so that was a big we talked about that being the first play of defense, and I thought our guys stood up to the challenge on that. And then punt, 46 yards net punt. And so credit to Ollie, credit to the guys covering. We got good guys, good speed guys running down. And then Preston Fox again on punt return. We blocked for him better, and then he's stealing first downs. in the return game, and he's done a nice job. The things we got to improve, the penalty before half, we did a really good job offensively getting in a position to make a field goal, and then Hayes makes it, and we flinch and jump right there, and we just can't have that. That goes back to what I was talking about from a smart perspective. There's no reason to do it, and so that was disappointing. And then really bad mistake at the end of the game of us. We talk about situational football. We actually show video on Friday of other teams doing things that are smart and not smart. And we talked a week ago in depth about, and I think we did it 5 times because I counted. Because I always look back at myself. Okay, did we cover that? But we've covered that 5 times about if the kick's blocked and it goes on our side of the line of scrimmage, you stay away from it. And we about made a catastrophic error on that. And so we got to obviously clean that up. And our kickoff return team, we're a little bit better, but I think we can take it another step. And so we got to get better at that unit. Defensively, much improved in the second half. I think they averaged 3.6 yards per rush, which was vital. Our red zone defense continues to be really good. I think that's the key. One of the keys to success in this league is being efficient in the red zone. And then our 3rd and 4th down in the second half. We didn't play 3rd down very well in the first half, but in the second half, really bowed up and played quality defense on those end of possession downs. Things we got to improve. We got off to a slow start. We had 6 missed opportunities. 1 ball on the ground that we didn't recover, and then we dropped 5 interceptions. 2 of them would have been good plays. 3 of them hit us right in the chest. And it's not very often in games where you can get away with those. And we didn't get away with them against Penn State. That game's totally different at Penn State if we catch the 2 interceptions they throw us. If we just catch the 2 they throw us, the game's different. And we were really fortunate to come out of that game with us dropping some interceptions that we had, because 2 of them, one of them for sure had a chance to be a pick 6, and the other one had a chance too. And so we got to clean that up. Our tackling was not very good in the first half. It was sloppy. I thought tempo bothered us, and we had some MAs and some coverage where we gave up some easy completions. So we got to get those cleaned up. Offensively, I'll say this. I'll credit the guys because we really – and I think I said this after the game for you guys that weren't there. Really probably – I've been doing this a long time offensively, and probably as strange a game plan week as I've ever had last week. Really thought up until Thursday morning – Garrett didn't do much, didn't look very good on Tuesday as far as moving, and I didn't want to play him until he was 100%. And then Nico injures his ankle. Really don't know the extent of it till he gets up Thursday and really has a hard time walking. And so Nico got every rep on Tuesday, every rep on Wednesday, and the things that we were preparing for him to do was quite a bit different. And so we kind of had to take a 180 on Thursday, and the stuff that we practiced on Tuesday and Wednesday, some of the run game was the same, but we really had to almost do a 180 from a game plan perspective. And what we did Thursday and Friday, Thursday's a walkthrough, Friday's a run through, and then play on Saturday. So I credit our guys because we did what we were supposed to do assignment wise for the most part. The positives are that we didn't turn the ball over. We had 201 yards rushing. We controlled the clock, time of possession, kept them off the field, gave up 0 sacks. They were 4th in the country coming in. We gave up 0 sacks. And I thought, a couple of our young kids made some plays in the second half. Rodney did. And then Hudson made a really big catch, or 2 big catches, one on a 4th down, one on the big play. And then E.J. Horton came in and made a really nice play across the middle as well. Things we got to get better at is we're just not breaking tackles, man. We're not breaking tackles. We're not making people miss. We didn't separate very well in man coverage. 3rd and 4th down, especially in the first half, we weren't very good. And then the goal line sequence there, we didn't. 4th down was a bad play. That's on me. I thought we should have scored on 2nd and 3rd down. And so, but we got to be better. Probably if we'd have practiced that game plan all week, I'd be really, really critical of what we did. I'm a little bit more lenient on our guys because we had to switch, and so I don't think it's totally fair with them. But I'm not necessarily pleased with what we're doing. I was really happy with Garrett. Thought he gave us a chance. But to kind of wrap it up, excited about where we're at. We're 4-1, 2-0 in the league, most importantly, and we haven't played our best I really believe our best football is out in front of us. We got to take advantage of the bye week. We're treating it different than we have in the past. First of all, this isn't a true bye week because you got to start your game prep on Friday. This is the second year in a row we really hadn't had a true bye week because the kids can't go home. It's a long year for these guys. In a traditional bye week, you have a whole weekend off, and you give them that weekend off, and then go home. Well, we don't really have that, and so we're not gonna. We gave the players off. I gave the staff off yesterday and today. Staff will come in tomorrow morning. I gave the players off till Wednesday morning. Guys that need treatment and recovery and stuff, they'll be in through the building, but we're not going to do anything formal with them until Wednesday morning. We'll practice on Wednesday, and we'll start Houston prep on Friday. So we've had 4 really physical football games, and we got to use this kind of to hit the refresh button mentally and physically. So that's kind of that's the plan. So with that, questions, Greg?
So filling in for the guys that are hurt. I mean, start with linebacker. Ben Cutter was already rotating in with Trey. So does he become the starter? What do you do behind him? And then safety, with or without Arbor, you need depth. So what do you do?
Yeah, those are probably 2 of our positions that we're probably thinnest at, right? Linebacker Josiah Trotter, who was, in the spring, he was going to compete to be a starter. He would definitely played a bunch of snaps. So we lose him in the spring, and now Trey. And so 2 significant injuries at that position. And so Ben Cutter, he's a guy that's going to need to step up for sure. Jai Favris, Caden Beiser, those are going to be the guys. And so we won't meet until tomorrow from a staff perspective. But when I talked to Jordan and we talked to Jeff, those are the guys. And Cutter did some good things in the game now. He really had, especially on kickoff, and he played a good number of snaps on defense. And y'all haven't asked about him, but he's played a good number of snaps the last couple weeks defensively. So he's ready to do it. He's a true freshman, but, he'll be ready. He's physical. He's smart. He'll be ready.
And safety?
So safety, do some thinking on that one. We'll go back with Dante. I want to see what his availability is going to be. That's I don't take the lightly that's trauma, laying on the field. And so I don't want to speak to his, whether he's going to be available or not. I think it's too early to tell. His injuries, I think best possible scenario. But there's some trauma in that. And so I want to get him back, give him some time before we figure out kind of where he's at from a return standpoint.
Tomas and Milam get poked in the eye.
Yeah, Milam got poked in the eye. Yeah, and kind of unfortunate. It happened after the play. So he wanted to play. His eye was completely shut. If it was a boxing match, they'd stop the fight because he couldn't see. So we just didn't think it was in his best interest to play. And I'll tell you, he's playing at an extremely high level. If we can get them all playing like him, then from a effort and a production standpoint, we'd be onto something. Tomas, I think it's too early to tell. It would be a struggle if we were playing on Saturday this week, but because we don't play this week, I think we'll see how it goes. But it's not something that's going to keep him out an extended period of time. But Houston, I think it's too early to tell.
Would you consider making visors mandatory for those guys up front now?
Yeah, I don't know. Those things are hard to breathe. Like a lot of those new helmets, you have to wear a visor with them. That may be something. John, I haven't really thought about it, but it may be something. But he did. He got poked pretty good.
You mentioned after the game that you felt like now, especially after that win, you should be a nationally ranked team. Got some votes.
Disappointed.
Any comments there?
Well, I think 2 things is I voted on the coaches poll, and I voted us in because I really believe that we should be. I think that sometimes the coaches poll, it's really hard. And I get a lot of help from Montoro because he does a really good job of keeping me educated on results and who plays well. And we spent some time on it on Sunday. And I'm not sure if everybody does that. I don't want to say they do or they don't. And I think people, you look at Texas Tech, right? Oregon's ranked. Where's Oregon ranked right now, Monty? They're in the top 10, right? Texas Tech's beating them, and Oregon scores within the last minute and a half. So a victory over Texas Tech here, and I know they're 2-3, but that's a really quality win, especially if Oregon's in the top 10. And then going on the road, at TCU is a really quality win. And so I just don't know I think sometimes our league's underappreciated. We only have 2 teams right now, and there are maybe 3 that are in. I think our league's underappreciated, and some of that's because we didn't take care of business in the out of conference like we should have, or non-conference like we should have probably. So I'm not saying that's not unfair, but I do, taking who we've played, I do think we're one of the top 25 teams. But hey, it's just something else, man. Like, we've kind of been underappreciated, not respected the whole time. So this kind of falls in line. So we'll have a couple more opportunities.
Do you have to address it with your team at all?
Yeah, I'll just tell them. Yeah, I'll just say, hey, this is it's kind of like the 14th deal. This is, the AP poll, I don't know. I don't know enough about how the AP poll works and who votes on it and knowledge level and all that kind of stuff. Probably the same. A lot of the same people that picked us 14th in the league. So, it is what it is. But, we'll talk about it.
A couple of their injuries, Hershey and I guess how Garrett reacted.
Yeah, Garrett, he needed this time. He had a birthday yesterday, and, whether he stayed off his feet on his birthday or not, who knows. But he moved around a lot better than I anticipated in the game, and that's kind of why we played a little bit different in the second half. I didn't call a very good game in the first half. I really didn't know. I didn't really know what to expect of him being able to move around. We called the game differently in the second half because I could tell that he could run, and I thought that helped us. He came out of it. I talked to him on the phone yesterday. I didn't see him. He said he felt good. And so we'll see. He needs some time too, so this week will be good for him. But I anticipate him being 100% when we play a week from Thursday.
Hershey? Okay.
Hershey, I think he could have gone back in the game on Saturday. It's kind of a coach's decision. He did some good things early. But we'll see. We'll see on him. I think he'll be fine.
One name I haven't heard it forever, but Austin Cave, linebacker.
So he's been out. Yeah, he's been out with an injury. He's got a lower body injury. He's kind of day to day, and it's really been Mike last week of fall camp, maybe or the week after Penn State. But it's a lower body injury. I don't think it's season ending, but he hasn't practiced.
Some of the 4 keys you talked about, and then kind of the way that you adjust the practice by being more physical and tackling more. Would that work with every team, or did it just happen to line up with what you have here?
I think each team's different. I think that for us, because where our strengths are, like I really knew that our strength was going to be on both fronts, and really our front 6 because our linebackers have played really physical as well. So I thought for us to really utilize our strengths, we had to be more physical. And we have some depth in both those areas. I think that showed our defensive line has been showing its depth all year, but the fact that we lost 2 starters in the game and still did some good things in the run game in the second half kind of speaks to, and not giving up any sacks, kind of speaks to some of our depth on our O-line too. Hubbard and Malone both came in and played well. And so we had some depth, so you're able to go a little harder. Sometimes when you don't have depth on O-line or D-line, you can't practice as hard as you want to. But I thought it was the only answer for this team, but I think you look at it kind of and you have to evaluate each team differently.
But the 4 principles too, that seems like fundamental football, but does this roster just take to that better because of experience?
Well, I think that it's a more self-aware group. And I think that when you have some success, you create more buy-in too. And we've kind of been upfront with them about who we have to be successful since the first day of spring practice. And those 4 principles, those guys can repeat to them because I tell them, I show a slide that has those things on them every single day. Every day I'm in front of them, I show them the same slide. And it's and what it comes down to is discipline is a team that doesn't beat themselves with penalties, turnovers, etc. Strain is just how you play. The toughness, the physical toughness is there's some fundamental aspects of that, hand leverage, pad leverage, playing, but overcoming adversity, and that's something we really worked on in the winter and the summer was some how to overcome adversity. That's mental toughness, and I think that's something that you have to practice. You just don't become a mentally tough team. Like, you have to work that, and that's really off-season wise, and that's through strength conditioning as much as anything. And then the smart thing is we work a ton of situations in practice, and then we get in front of them. Sometimes it shows, and on Saturday a couple times it didn't show. But so that's something that's a work in progress. But hope that answers.
Coach, to my knowledge, no touchdowns by a tight end last season. Cole already has 2 through 5 games, and Traylon seems to be getting better and better with more reps. Can you speak on their development, and how has Coach Stewart helped them get to where they needed to be over the last few months?
Yeah, Blaine's doing a good job for sure. Cole didn't practice all last week. He got banged up in that Texas Tech game, and so I think he's got to be either our 1 or 2 receiving threat. And so we weren't sure how much he was going to play because he didn't practice. He ended up having a huge catch there. I'd like for him to score on that second down completion, but he had a huge third down conversion. I can do with all that ball spinning and all that garbage. We'll get that fixed. But he had that was a great catch, and he's going to continue to get a bunch of targets. Traylon kind of does the dirty work. We tried to throw him the ball 4 or 5 times. He got tackled out in the flats one time on that third and about 1.5 yards that we could have extended, not giving him the ball with so much time. He got tackled out there, but we tried to throw it to him. He's more capable receiver, but he's done a really nice job in the block game.
Jalen Anderson, was he banged up?
He didn't practice on Tuesday. He'd been sick, and so we just kind of went with some other guys. Jaheim earned the opportunity. He needs to play more.
So CJ 3.2, 2.8 the last couple games, not his norm. Is there any concern there? Anything that needs?
I think there's some concern. I think we got to play better. Yeah, I think he's got to play better. I think he would tell you the same thing. He's healthy. For as healthy as a running back can be through 5 games. Some of it's been some bad luck, but he hasn't had the big explosive runs like he did a year ago. I thought Jaheim came in with some energy, some juice, and he had, his average per carry has been really good this year.
It's always a good time to get an update on some of the young guys who aren't playing. So,
ask me on Monday. We're gonna get after it pretty good on Wednesday.
Okay.
And so ask me on Monday, because on Wednesday and Friday of this week that Monday Night Football crew is gonna get after it. And what I'll do is on Monday I'll give you all a pretty good idea of who does well in those 2.
Let me give you a soapbox for a second again.
Okay.
Analytics. You played football when there really wasn't analytics as it is now. You coached it, I'm sure. The effect it's had on the game and on sports, like on baseball, you see rules changes being made because forced by analytics. Really, basketball, has had rule changes almost every year. What's the effect it's had on football, and should there be changes?
It's probably had the least amount of effect of the 3 major sports on football. Baseball has completely changed. I mean, you would know that more than I would, Bob, with your years covering it. But it's completely changed. And now some of that's getting, probably corrected when the shifts go out next year and all that. But and then in basketball, it's completely changed. And I probably didn't have as good an understanding of that. And I'm a basketball fan until spending some time with Joe over the summer, and him kind of explaining some of the things they were doing with the Celtics that made it really clear. Football, I think the biggest change is from an analytics standpoint is more just overall use of technology, like how you practice, and the emphasis on recovery. As far as in game, it's really more of a when to go for it, when to not. That data is probably what we lean on. If you look back at our situations, to kind of, if I had to do it over again, we were in minus territory there. Like I probably would have gone for it. It's easy to say because we punted and they scored. If they didn't score, I probably wouldn't have said that. But hindsight's always better. But we've been pretty good in those short yardage situations. So, and then the other 2 is we were going down the other way. The other one was like 4th and 6. And the wind was blowing pretty good. And so if we were on the other end of the field, I would have kicked a field goal then. But because we were going against the wind, we didn't. We had a good play there. The ball got tipped. That'll happen. And then the other one is you kind of make some of those decisions going in the game. And it was 4th and about 1.5 yards. It was too long to quarterback sneak it. But we should have called a better play. But I knew if we stopped them, if they stopped us, they had 99 yards. And I felt like we were playing really well on defense, so I thought that was right. But I'm giving you a lot of information. But analytics in football is probably behind the other two. You know, all the NFL teams have their own. You know, we have an outside company that we use. I don't follow it 100%, but I use it quite a bit. And I think there's a mix of gut in there too, which is I'm comfortable with. Some people follow it totally. Some people don't follow it at all, you know.
How do you keep from becoming a slave to it?
Well, I think a lot of it, you try to make as many decisions before the game when the emotion's not in it. So I take time on Thursday, really. I do a phone call with our guy and ask a bunch of questions and really try to make some decisions on Thursday before it's emotional. And then when you get in the game, how the flow is going. You know, like, for instance, in the first half when we didn't go for it on that, you know, I kind of made my mind up because how we'd been playing defense the last couple of weeks is like, hey, I'm only going to go for it on the plus side. But we didn't play very well early. And so that's where I was like, man, like I probably should have done. If I had to do it over again, I'd go for it. But you try to make those as many as you can when it's non-emotional. And so you're making decisions based on knowledge, not on emotions on Saturday.
One more.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
One more question on this. Change in play in the Big 12 from a wide open passing league to what it's become now. Has that been analytically driven, or is that?
No, I think everything goes in cycles, right? And I think the innovation, they're still there on offense, but I think there's a lot of defensive innovation. And I've been pretty open with this. I think a lot of it changed when Iowa State went to the 3 safety deal, which was very similar to the innovation that Mike Leach brought with the air raid when he went to Oklahoma as the OC and then as the head coach. So the offensive innovation really happened then. And then I credit those guys at Iowa State for when they went to the 3 down, 3 safety look, that really started a whole innovation defensively that really has swept across not only college football but the NFL as well. And it has its basics right here. And so, and I think too is like when you have coaching changes. So there's been a bunch of, I don't know, like I knew this at one point. Like I'm probably in the top 5 longest tenured coaches, and it's year 5. You know, so like there's been a lot of turnover in the league. And so I think anytime there's some coaching changes, the league kind of changes as well. Greg, you had one question, so I got to go. I got an eye doctor appointment, so Monty's getting itchy.
It'll be way too long, so
all right.
you just go.
All right. Thank you all.